So this is how, in the Game Face book, this is how I ended up having the meeting with the DEA, right? Turn that down. So, for those of you who do not know, the DEA is the Drug Enforcement Agency. Very serious people, not people you want to meet on the wrong terms, fam. So I was doing business with this one tow truck company in South Florida, and they were doing very well for themselves, multi-million-dollar family. And so it was like an hour and a half away from where I was down in Miami. I'm in a rental car, and this is before I moved. Like, this is part of my transition to Florida, right? So I'm coming down, establishing contracts that way that I have income and business, and I'm also setting up grows at multiple locations in Florida. So Ron DeSantis, as y'all seen, like, the governor of Florida, they had got the company documents and they understood what we was doing. We had just got cleared for a facility in Boynton Beach. This is pre-COVID, right? And so everything going on, I'm down there solo. I got 5 units in my hotel, like exotic, crazy smelling stuff, and like super strong stuff, bro. Like, I miss some of them strains. So I drive up like an hour and a half to go have this meeting. I already knew. He was like, I got a DEA friend, and I'm also gonna have the sheriff come out because they wanted to make sure it was clear for them to do what they was trying to do. So I was like, all right, I'll bring the paperwork or whatever. And then so I drove up there, and he was like, I'm surprised you came. I'm like, really? I'm like, what reason would I have not to come? I'm like, everything I say is what it is. So it's probably like 7 European people in this room, me and one other melanated person, and this man works for them. He is they farmer, and he's on some yes boss, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. That's all you heard from that man. So it's clearly not somebody who I'm having conversations with in the room. He was just there in order to give his insight on the agriculture aspect. But then when it came to the money, it was the one person who brought me there. I'm purposely leaving out names. I don't even know if I put names in the book when I wrote this stuff. And then there is the DEA agent, and then there's the sheriff, all in the same room. We in a back room at this location, and you have to drive. They have to let you in through this gate. And also one of my close friends, one of my Masonic brothers, bro had flew down to come kick it with me. So I had him drive up, and he rode up there with me, bro. And when he was sitting outside, he was like, bro, I don't know what you into, but it had to be at least 10 different sheriff cars come to this space while you was in here. And I'm like, say that. So we having a meeting on the inside. This is before I came out and I spoke to him and I knew everything. We having a meeting on the inside, and they showing me pictures of my elder, or what my elder grow look like satellite images. He had like 144 plants in his backyard one time at Jersey. This is well before all the wreck and stuff happened. And also it's court records of people like Hakeem Green from Madism, him being able to get a court case dropped when he walked into the court with weed and got arrested, and he ended up getting it dropped without prejudice. So it was several situations that they had brought to the forefront, and I'm just looking at everything. I'm like, damn. And then I showed them the documentation. I showed them the information that Ron DeSantis had and everything. The DEA agent leaned over and he was like, I don't give a fuck. He was like, I arrest people for stuff like this. I'm just like, I sat back, and this is what I ran through my head. I'm like, I'm gonna have to sue the shit out these people. And it's from that meeting, I always knew I had to have minimal contact and be hands off with my position in the company, being the CEO, because if anything ever happened where I got into any form of jeopardy, it would be an issue, because then nothing else could really be like, it can go the way it needed to go until I had trained other people at that time. There's other people in place now, but that was very important at that time, because I'm like, bro, I can't even move the way I used to move. These people, they on demon time. So after we had the meeting and everything, clearly I did not think this meeting went the way that I needed it to go. And I talked to the sheriff, everything, and these is South Floridian Europeans. They had attitudes. They looking at me like, who am I? How can I do all of this? They didn't give a damn about my tribal status. They was like, how can you do this and we can't? Because you don't know the people I know. It just works like that sometime in life, bro. So I go outside, I walk out after the meeting, and like I said, I have 5 pounds in the car right now. I'm in the rental. He told me what he told me about like all the sheriffs that came through. So I'm like, damn, they for sure know the whip I'm in out here. So I drive back down to Miami and I change rentals immediately. That's the first thing I do before I go get any food, change hotels, anything. I change cars, then I change hotels, and then it's just, like I said, being mindful also where I come from. Minimum contact, you don't know what type of time people on or anything. So my partner was still, bro was still down there kicking it. And then like a day or two passed, I get a phone call from the individual who had invited me up there to the meeting. And he was like, hey, yo. He was like, you'll never guess. I'm like, what happened? He was like, you know my DEA friend? He called me and he apologized. And he said everything that young man said was completely true. And I was like, oh, is that right? Bro, I'm out here changing cars and everything, and like I literally had this man tell me like he gonna press me just because in his mind he thought he could, but then he went back and he verified all my information, everything I told him. He was like, oh, you solid. And I was able to establish a contract there, but I had like, based on us having an R&D company, we went through a lot of research and development funds, just having an understanding of how the Florida climate works. Outdoor, I would not grow THC flower outdoor in Florida. It is way too humid out here. You'll end up producing mold and mildew. And I also would not, you can do indoor for sure out here, and that's one of the main things, but like that AC bill, regulating that because it is heat out here in order to keep the perfect temperature. For me, it's a lot more financially feasible in order for me to grow in other states, and because of our agreement and the tribal relationship we have, transporting, it's a lot easier, fam. It's a lot more cost effective because we can produce great quality things outside because the company is so old and some of the genetics are so dialed in. It looks just like, and people receive it the same way how they would indoor. But yeah, that was my little DEA experience. And it was like, that's just one between sitting with Palm Beach City Council, sitting with the attorney from Cocaine Cowboy, like I forget homie name, but like they wanted him to represent us at a particular point in time because of his experience with controlled substance law. So yeah, like we got a nice little resume. Like story time gonna keep going, even from KRS-One, all of that stuff. The majority of my relationships that I have been fortunate enough to get in these stories, a lot of them came after I got the cannabis company. So yeah, it's been lit for sure.